watching them. So the YouTube channel has some views, and so I'm going to record just because somebody's looked at them. So it's as fair as possible because some people are working on traditional jobs right now and can't come, right? Are you guys excited about my new computer and my virtual background?
Your background, yeah, I like it.
Candy, this is a room in the castle in Prague. Have you been to that castle in Prague that's up on the hill above the river?
No, I am planning to go to Prague. I was waiting until it kind of slowly kind of opened back up. They just, EU just went completely green, but now there's a few countries now going back to restrictions because of the variant or
the
something.
Delta variant.
So Germany just put Portugal. Yeah, Germany just put Portugal back on the quarantine list. So
yeah, and China put the UK on it.
Yeah, everyone has the UK. You can go to the UK from the US, but you still have to quarantine. But Germany was like, you can't leave to go to the UK unless it's essential. And then if you come back, they make you go through hoops to get back in.
Yeah.
So,
well, if you go to Prague,
if you're not going, don't go.
When you go to Prague, I'll be looking for you it'll be after this class, but send me an email with this picture because you'll find these are ledger books. They're not like fiction or anything. They're ledger books that are in the, I'm like 97% sure they're in the castle in Prague. If they're not there, they're in Nuremberg. So, you have two cities to look through. Anyway, I love putting them back there. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm just hoping that, kind of get another trip in or so. But if not, I got to go somewhere this year. So yay.
Yay. Okay, so do you have questions about, like, module 8's pretty easy, right? You're just critical reviewing, peer review, and then this takes more coordination than I have to have two screens. And then you're also reflecting on the peer review process. And the nice one about that is it's pretty, you definitely could find an expert that talks about how important peer review is, but it's not as hard over that you find an expert for that journal because it's harder to find, right?
Mm-hmm.
So an easier week. One of the things that offends me about this course that I'm joking with offense, but that I want to give you like a heads up for is that you'll have your huge assignment, right, for module 9, but module 10 still has a discussion and a journal in it. So you have 2 assignments in module 10, which means that, because my grades have to be in on Wednesday before like 9 p.m. my time. And that means that I have that short amount of time to have all the grades done. So like you finish module 10 and you're like, woohoo. And I'm like, I have 2 assignments to grade.
Wow.
But I don't know. I think that works in all y'all's favor because, I can't be as picky because I have to get it done, right? But there's that. So we're almost at the end. You're going to do one big draft of, I still call it a draft simply because nothing isn't a draft until it's published. I keep thinking of this piece that I've been sending out that goes, I've sent it to, I've been sending it out for about a year and 2 months. And one of the places I checked in with after they hadn't gotten back to me in over a year, like in like 14 months. And I said, it's changed so much since I sent it to you. Should I withdraw it? They're like, oh, just send us the new version of it. But, so like I sent it out and you'd think something would be finished by the time you sent it out for publication. And it absolutely hasn't been. And it's so much better now. And yet I thought I could publish it 14 months ago. So this is all to say, yeah, you're kind of doing a final story for module 9, but nothing is ever final until somebody does print it. And even then, I think about Tim O'Brien's Not the Things They Carried story, but How to Tell a True War Story, which is in the book, The Things They Carried. There's a version of it that we read for my class, and then I found a different version online because he had already updated it, because at the end he has something cool happen, but you'll have to read it. Anyway, so I mean, you're sort of never done revising. Is that bad news?
No, like I've had stuff that I've had published like in literary magazines, and I look back and I'm like, oh my gosh, that was so bad. Like, why did they publish that? That was really bad.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I feel the same way about the two novels that I published. That's just which kind of led me to taking, the creative writing course, is because I mean, I just felt like I kind of rushed it. It was more, I I think I kind of just gave in to family and friends and just tried to get something out so they can leave me alone, as opposed to kind of making it a good kind of my kind of story that I wanted to kind of go with.
Mhm.
And so now I'm kind of trying to make up for that with the next stories, which are all in the same kind of, I kind of have that J.K. Rowling kind of feel where everything is kind of like a standalone story, but they're all kind of all related. They're all in the
Mhm.
same timeline and the same kind of, you know,
It's
I guess
almost like
space
a
time
multiverse,
continuum.
right?
Yeah, it's kind of like the Marvel universe, but different,
Right.
and they all tie together. But read one story and it's a standalone, but there's something in one story that connects the next story, and they're all together. And so I'm like, well, I need to get better because I rushed those because of family and friends, and I shouldn't have done that, but it got them off my back, and now I can just kind of do my own thing.
Yeah. You published those yourself though, right?
Yeah, they were self. I went through the Amazon to
Yeah.
create a space.
Mhm.
They put out,
Which
and
which
it's on
also means you
Amazon, and
can,
then I have digital.
sorry, it means you can update them, right?
Yeah, you can do revisions.
You can do revisions, but they don't. I think Amazon with Amazon, they won't update the 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 previous versions. Like if someone has already bought it
Oh, right.
and download
Hmm.
it, they won't
Right.
update that one. They'll
Right.
update it from that point on. It won't go back and update. So unlike iBooks, which would update everything from beginning to end. So
Yeah. Yeah. That's fine though. I mean, at least if your books get going and you want your previous books in the universe to be improved, you have the opportunity to do that, which is nice.
yeah,
William Faulkner,
but
his set of
it
novels are multiverses as well. Like it's Yoknapatawpha, try to say that 5 times fast, county. So if you read his novels, you'll find that the characters overlap, and he'll point out to somebody like Major Despain. My last name used to be Despain, so it was kind of cool. And I used to be a major. So Major Despain would be doing something, and have just this minor role. But in the short story, The Bear, Major Despain has a huge role. So like he knows everybody in the county, and they are doing their things all through the books, which is pretty cool. Cool.
yeah,
So
it's kind of how my line is, and like I know all the characters, and I know what they want to do, and one character does this and this. It's just now I just need to stop procrastinating and sit down and put it all down on paper and get it out.
yeah, I know
Yeah.
all about that. Sorry. So how do you feel about where you've arrived at this process so far? Like what you turned in for your drafts that I'm going to be looking at this week? Do you feel pretty good about the changes that are happening? Are you seeing the value? I mean, I know both of you are pretty experienced writers, so are you experiencing a value in this process that's new for revising?
Well, I changed the ending for mine.
Yeah, that's great.
I was
Can't
like,
wait to see
it
it.
didn't, you made me question, like, what did I want out of it? I was like, well, the ending should tell it. And then I had a friend of mine read it, and she's like, oh my gosh, you gave a little clue here and then you ended it here. I was like, oh, good. You got exactly what I wanted out of it.
Oh, don't tell me what happens because I can't wait. Like this is like spoiler alerts. No, I'm grading this week. Don't tell me what happens. What about you, Candy?
Yeah, I had I had the same thing. I kind of well, I didn't change it too much, but I think I added something that kind of, because there was some questions as like I think even in your feedback you were wondering why she went back or what happened, and so I think that I kind of got it at the very last ending, because I still didn't want to
Okay.
give it away too much. So
Yeah, because I
put it
wanted to
in like
know.
one last.
I wanted to know why the heck could wait so long. So I hope you've helped touch on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
So I think I kind of combined some things, and yeah, I did get one feedback, but yeah, I'll have to respond to that one, because I think the person who did the feedback hadn't read the story at all, from and so this is her first time reading, and
Oh.
it she kind of threw me off with some of her feedback, and I'm just gonna respond to her, because I think um, she's thinking a different way, which is okay, but at the same time, I think she has a vision of how a story is supposed to be told, and
Right.
my story isn't fitting her vision, and
Yeah.
that's her feedback, kind of.
Ah.
So
Okay.
I'll respond to it, but it's not anything like I'm like, why did she? But I'm when she said she hadn't read it, I kind of like, okay, maybe you're of a different mindset than where I am and where I want to take the story. So
Hmm.
I think I'll just kind of respond and kind of hopefully get that kind of discussion going. Because it kind of threw me, come some of her feedback, like she I don't think she understood where I was trying to go with the story, which I guess is okay, because as a writer you want to know kind
Hmm.
of if your readers aren't getting it. But at the same time, I think that her the way she envisions certain types of stories and how they're supposed to be is
Right.
where her feedback is coming from.
That's fair enough. And so, I mean, the value in that, of course, is that she was expecting a certain type of genre. And I think
Mhm.
when you're pushing genre boundaries a little bit, as you are, um, it's really helpful when you have this kind of feedback to know, like, if you're going to try to push this out to a traditional agent or, traditional publishing, that gives you sort of a point to comment on, to say, somebody reading this genre might expect X, but this is even better and different for these reasons. So I mean, it still shows you how people are reading your work, and it's tough because one of the things that we try to work on for peer review is to remind people, this is the author's story. So you might have a vision for it, but how can you help the author do what the author's trying to do? So we just keep working on that. And I haven't seen who's commented because I still need to grade the module 7 work. So
And I think that's what kind of threw me, is because I don't think, like she said, she hadn't read any of the previous, like the previous drafts. I don't even think she read the summaries, when we first
mhm,
did the scenes. So I don't think she understood what the story was truly about. I think she thinks that it's a straight kind of romance, and then I just kind
oh,
of,
but that's really
yeah, and
valuable.
I think she's she had a different genre in mind, where
Mhm.
she didn't get the ending. She didn't really understand where I was going. I think she was just kind of like, oh, why this? And I'm like, maybe this is your first time reading it, so you didn't really understand where it was going. But I get that, because some people, they have a tradition that this
Right,
is the story. If it's a romance, it's a romance, and you can't mix the two. So,
right. Well, and I think
so I
it's
get it now.
valuable when somebody has not. It's valuable when somebody has not read any of it and they get thrown like that. It's worth you saying, "Have I dropped enough clues that this isn't a traditional romance?" But left it, vague enough that maybe it could be, because that's what you're trying to do, is kind of lead them along and then give them that twist at the end. But it's good to know that somebody didn't catch that, and then you just revisit, and then you can decide for yourself. You're like, no, I think the clues are there, or maybe I can push this clue a little harder. That's your work, right?
Right. And yeah, some of her comments were just I just it was they were, it's good feedback. And she had some good tips in there, but I think some of the stuff that she was wanting would actually just give away the ending too soon.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that's not what I want to do. And I understand. I think she's like of the thing, like she needs to know what's going to happen at the end as opposed to kind of reading through and kind of getting the kind of surprise element to it where, she not like it comes out of the blue, but kind of like you missed the clues. You knew the clues were there, but you kind of missed them at first.
Mm-hmm.
But I think she kind of just wants you to come out and say
Right.
that this is the ending. And I'm like, that's not the story I want to tell.
Yeah. And you just have to thread the needle with not tricking your reader. You've planted the clues, and a careful reader will know where it's going. A careful reader will sit up and say, I don't know which this is, and be open to which way it goes. So.
Well, sometimes you have, when you're in a class though, a reader, like when I critique, I don't see it from a reader's perspective. I see it as an editor's perspective. Maybe that's because that's what I do. But so in a class, if I'm reading something for joy, then I'm gonna critique it from a reader's perspective and be like, hey, you said it was this genre and I really didn't like X, Y, and Z. But in something like structured classes, you have to take that mindset out and read it like you're editing it. Like you have to put all of your pretenses of what is supposed to happen or where something is supposed to go. And my thing is I read it first and I have a notepad and I write down like questions as I'm going. And a lot of the times the questions are answered. Other times they aren't. And then I'll read it again and think, okay, like is the question because I think it's a certain genre, or is the question because there really is a question here?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that gets tricky too for some people with the critique. I've found in my undergrad and even in grad that they read it as a reader's perspective instead of reading it as a critique. What we're supposed to be doing is critiquing each other, helping each other.
Which is also, I think, I agree, Nicole, because you have to read it more than once, because the first read should be as a reader, because you should give the impression as a reader. And then the next one needs to be as an editor. And your technique sounds perfect, like what questions got answered, which do I still have, which are unreasonable expectations because I went into this with, maybe the wrong attitude. I mean, we're not supposed to be able to be like have a perfect read the first time. We might be able to, and that's great. And I don't reread unless I'm like writing a article or something like and doing a publication on a book. I don't reread very often because there's so many books out there. So I try to get it on the first read. And I think short stories are definitely designed to be read more than once. And I think that, people forget that short stories are usually more complicated than a novel because they're not supposed to be perfect. I mean, they're perfect, but they're so perfect that sometimes you have to read them more than once to understand them. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
What a great conversation this was.
I mean,
I'm glad we talked about it.
Yeah.
You guys ready to do a little writing?
Sure.
Let's get us going there. So I want you to take a couple seconds to do a little bit of maybe box breathing, the part where you breathe in through your nose for 4 counts, hold it at the top of the breath for 4 counts, breathe out for 4 counts, and then hold it without breathing in or out at the bottom for 4 counts. And do a little bit of that and just be counting in your head the best you can as I talk over what I want us to do, because it's pretty complicated. And then I'm going to put that in the chat so that after I've talked it over, you'll be able to look at it. You'll be able to see it in the chat and reread it. But this prompt was inspired by my reading Matt Haig's The Midnight Library, which I loved a million times over. I thought it was really well done. And one of the unusual cases, I think, where an author who's a man really did pretty well with a woman character. His main character is a woman. And in it, he's playing with the idea of quantum mechanics. And we've talked about this in the previous one, but I haven't done this one, right? Where we make a different world. Okay, good. So he's playing with quantum mechanics and the idea, and I love this idea. Like, this is a philosophical idea that I could write about all day long, which is, you know, in the concept of quantum mechanics, simultaneously right now, we are living an infinite number of lives where anything could be happening. And he's doing this with his character really brilliantly, I think, in the Midnight Library. And in it, you know, any possibility is there, including the worst. You know, the best could be happening. We could be the billionaire.
Oh, hang on 1 second. And if I get disconnected, I'll try to get back on, but we have a major storm in my area.
I see it. I can see it out your window.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
It's pretty bad.
Are you in Florida?
Yeah, you guys are
Houston.
you guys are frozen to me.
Oh no, can you hear us?
I can hear you, but your screens are just frozen. So I think it's just the hotel Wi-Fi, the bandwidth, you know, gives you only so much because you know I wasn't gonna pay €80 a day for
No,
it. So
no, definitely not.
Wow.
If you want to turn off your video, it'll give you more bandwidth for the thing. If that's your video, you can still see us hopefully, but then yours should work better. Does that help any? Now I feel nervous because I can't see you, but anyway.
It is what it is. Yeah, it's the hotel one. So
Yeah, it's fine.
and you know, I was just happy that it actually let me come on. So
Well, so, you know, in the infinite universes, Nicole could be in a storm. It could be record heat, which I'm having today at my house. You know, Candy could be in Prague instead of Vienna. I mean, and that's a really limited way of thinking about it. You know, we could be multi-billionaires and, you know, running the globe, you know. So the prompt I'm going to read to you so I could stop being so woo-woo and actually give you something to write is it says, let's think about quantum mechanics and the many worlds theory. You, and now this is, or your character, right? So for both of you, you're probably going to write about these great characters you have, but it's up to you, whatever you want to write about. You or your character are experiencing an infinite number of possible lives in some other realm that is happening right now. You or your character are approaching a door through which is just one of these quantum lives. I mean, you have an infinite number of possibilities for what this life looks like. You could be a New York Times best-selling author, or your person could be. You could have just won an Ironman race. You could live in a box under a bridge. You could have a full life on a different planet, or even have a different thread where like magic on Earth is possible. Like it's only limited by your imagination. So make up a different life on the other side. But right now, basically your characters, you know, walked up to this door, and you don't have to have the physical door, but and stepped through and is looking at what this life is and who this person is on the other side. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm gonna copy it and then tell this person to please get away from here. Okay, there we go. Yep, it's all there. Okay, can you see it in the chat? Okay.
Yep.
yeah, I can see it.
Okay, great. Then I'm going to set the timer. I'm going to shut off my video and sound. I will set the timer for 7 minutes because I feel like this needs to go a little longer. And then I will come back with a minute left and let you know you have a minute left. Okay. All right. So go ahead and get started writing and begin. You have about a minute left. Okay, you want to wrap things up?
Oh, that was hard.
Was it? Well, I told you. I warned you.
I must have started it like 4 times because I couldn't get it.
Yeah. I think one of the hardest things is when you have an infinite number of possibilities, choosing what's happening on the other side.
Yeah, I'm like, so no, well, maybe I should start here. And I'm like, no, maybe I should start there. It was hard.
How was it for you, Candy?
This one was, yeah, it it was cold. It was just, ooh. I don't even think I was on the right prompt. I went all over the place. I just pretty much just took the advice and just wrote. So what I wrote, I don't know, but I just wrote it down.
Well, I mean, writing is the goal. So if you don't follow the prompt exactly, that's fine. The one that we have next, I think, is a lot of fun if you did write to this prompt because it should help what you've actually already written. So I think we might stick with that one. But let's hear what happened with you if you're open to sharing what you wrote.
Okay, well, can you hear me now? Okay, hold on. Let me
Mhm.
turn my video off so my pen.
Fair enough.
Okay. It goes. His life was what he always wanted. He had a good job, nice house, and good friends. Yet there was something missing. He knew it. His friends knew it. Even his pet fish knew it. He had found that something missing once. It was in his dreams. He found that special someone, and their love had been so strong they were able to lock away resentment, fear, and fatigue inside an impermeable, I can't even pronounce the word, vault. They were happy and 2 days away from their wedding. Then she opened his Pandora's box and unleashed hell, and that's where I left out.
That's awesome. I mean, because it feels so unrelated to what you've been writing, but that was fun. Nicole, what did you think of it?
I liked it. I really did. Mine is completely like off. Yours is a lot better.
Oh no, there's no such thing. We're just writing, right? I have my AC going full blast and my glasses are still steaming up.
Wow.
I love that even his pet fish knew something was wrong. I mean, the image of that really grabbed me and held me still for a moment because I was like, how do you even know that a pet fish knows something is wrong, right?
It's a pet. They always say cats and dogs know
Mhm.
their owners and everything. And I mean, I can't stand cats. I can do with a dog, but I prefer a fish. I don't know. I just like fish better than I do like dogs and cats and other animals. So I'm like, he has a pet fish. I mean, he doesn't have to walk it, you know. And I told one friend one time, she was like messing with teasing me, and I'm like, well, if it dies, at least I have sushi. Oh, I said, let it go.
Oh, that's awful.
And she didn't teach me no more after that. So,
That's funny.
Did you all read the kind of get started post I put the last time we had a discussion board? And it was sorry, I had to pause because I can hear myself talking. It was about the 99% and the 1%. So in the last time we did a discussion board, the very first one you would have seen was mine, and I was talking about character development and how in the weekend event that I did with Janet Fitch, she was talking about look at what your character would do 99% of the time, and then pick that 1% and see what direction it's going to go. And Candy's pet fish was the 1%. I thought that was pretty great. Okay, so let's hear what you have, Nicole.
Oh my gosh, it's so off. Okay. Where am I? This is my house, but is it? I look at the once rusted looking porch that is now painted sea glass green and restained a golden brown. The two rockers on the porch are no longer worn, but now painted a brilliant orange. Walking up the steps, I hear it, the sound of a woman's voice singing, a voice that sounds so familiar yet distant to me. As I approach the front door, I can see the once stained counters and draped curtains are clean and bright. Oh, honey, you scared me, a woman said, pulling my attention to the side of the house. No, not just a woman, but my mother. Oh, Ma, you look like you have seen a ghost. Are you okay, Vivian? Okay, no. Ghost? Yes, because she's the ghost I have just seen. She is supposed to be dead. This house is supposed to be dead. All of this is just wrong.
Oh. Oh. That's in an infinite universe that could happen, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Gosh. Okay.
And that would throw you for a loop. Yeah.
Big time. Candy, what did you think? I can see you're there.
I don't think I'm gonna sleep tonight. I think I'm gonna have to sleep with my teddy bear tonight. No, that was it was really like the ghost, and I'm like, whoa, okay, yeah, this is definitely a different universe. So I needed, I need my teddy bear now.
My hair stood up a little right
really
here.
do.
My hair stood up a little right here.
Yeah.
And I was
like, oh, the porch, oh, it's like, subtle, kind of warm. And then he's like, oh, no, you're the ghost. And I'm like, oh, okay. Whoa.
well, I mean, her whole life was changed.
Yeah.
Right. And now she walks up and everything's the same. So that's what I love is you left her the same, but put her into a different universe like that. And we don't know when she crossed over the thread into this universe instead of the one she's been living in. And that's kind of what's fun about the and I usually write down notes, but I got so hung up on, like, I was paying attention to the new stuff on the porch, and I was like, oh, something's definitely going to be different. And you said mother, my hair stood up, and then I didn't write a single note. I mean, like, I'm sure it was great.
Oh, good. Because that was hard. That took the whole 7 minutes to get that little teeny bit.
So I really think where we're going next is going to be cool because of the perspective you just got. So what I want to do now is read the next one and set you writing right away because you guys are in a great space. So part 2 of this one is you've been living the quantum life you chose in part 1. So this character who's in part 1, Candy, in your case, Pandora's box has been opened and this is all happening, right? And for Nicole, your Vivian has been like talking to her mother and oh my gosh, I just have my whole life different, So imagine that that's been happening. Here, now turn around and step back through the door, but don't enter the life. Have Vivian, have your character Candy, which I don't know who it is because it's a guy. Have them look at the life that they're living in your story and what do they notice and what surprises them about what they see now that they've been in a different universe. So now they're back in the other life but how is it different than the way you've been imagining it as you've been writing the story? And the prompt, I'm saying it better than it's written in the prompt. So just take the prompt and, convert it to mean what your character is supposed to do, because it's not written quite right for it. But it's up in the chat now. And basically, Vivian, having had her mom back, and Candy, the Pandora's box being open, in both cases, how does that somehow make you turn around, make that character turn around and see the life in your story differently than they had? And I really think it could be a pretty big difference, because they know what they are missing better or whatever, I don't know. Okay, so I'll set the timer, you write, and good luck. You have about a minute left. All right, that's it. When you're ready, join us back up. My dogs were so excited about the alarm going off. They're milling outside the door. They're like, what is it?
My cat's laying in the window just enjoying herself. See,
What's her name?
Evie.
And your storm seems better.
Yeah, it does. Oh, I'm sorry. I woke her up because I moved the curtain. She's like, hello. Yeah, I have 4 kids, and I have a cat, and then each of my kids have a pet. My daughter has a cat, and then we have 3 dogs.
Wow.
Mhm.
We have 2, and this is the last time I'll have 2 dogs.
My son, my oldest son, he lives on dorm, so his dog has sort of become the family dog because you can't take him on dorm and he's gone all the time. So he just goes from room to room. But my other 2 boys, they have their own dogs. One is she's blind, and she was supposed to be a small dog, and she's a Staffordshire Terrier Lab. We found out because we did DNA, and she's huge.
That's so funny.
I'm like, no, we were supposed to have a small dog.
Hello, Candy. So how did this go this time?
It was easier for me.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully you're looking back at the story you have, and so that's more vivid in your mind.
Hmm.
Did writing happen, Candy? Because that's all that really matters.
It happened. This one is a bit easy. I think it's always the hard part to figure something out and get started. And then once I get started, it kind of flows, and then get it done, and then you have to go back and edit, and you're like, what are you saying?
Well, go back and edit is not necessarily a part of this. I mean, it can be, but you don't have to. And I'll let you guys go a little extra long because I got a text at the end. So I was like, oh. All right, should we start with Nicole this time?
Yeah, I'll go. Okay. How can I stay here? I know now what I've always known, the life I was cheated, the one where I grew up with 2 parents and didn't have to choose a life of crime. She was given so many more opportunities, and through the pictures hanging on the walls is happy. She was given the choice to go to college and make something of herself. Her parents, my parents, look so happy. The life that I once thought I knew my father had with my mother was given back to me through her. But now what am I supposed to do with it? I have the broken man that I call a father, and my mother is gone. She is gone, but hers is still there. My father is not only broken, but he broke me. He allowed his pride to get in the way of his duty, and we have to pay. We have all had to pay for it. I live a broken and fractured life compared to her, and I don't know what I'm supposed to do with that. We are the ghosts of a family, not them. They are thriving and living. We are just existing one moment to another.
Who's the them in that one?
the other family that she saw.
Oh, okay. So like she gets this glimpse of what life would have been like if her mother hadn't been killed, and this other family is amazing because
Yeah.
he's out of the life of crime. He doesn't expect her to, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Was she there as a character? Like, did she see herself in this other? Were there two
Yes.
of her? Oh,
So there were two of her, and she got to see a glimpse of what would have happened if her mother was still alive. And then
mhm.
when she comes back, she realizes, well, they're not the ghosts. She is.
Yeah,
Her and
that's
her
pretty
father
cool.
are the ghosts of the family because they live a fractured life
Yeah, and
compared to
that
what
life,
would have happened.
essentially, they were killed, when she was killed, but they
Mm-hmm.
still live, which people are dealing with that kind of grief all the time, and it turns into this that they're ghosts.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
cool. So kind of not a surprise, right?
No.
The one surprise is that you could that ability to call themselves ghosts. Like I feel like that's a surprise, that
Mm-hmm.
before maybe painful, maybe broken, but ghosts is, a step in a new direction. Cool. What do you think, Andy? And I'm sorry I muted you. The
I
echo was
think
hard when she was reading.
it's okay. No, I think the word the ghost. I was thinking like supernatural ghosts. So now that I kind of know it, it's like okay, that's a different way of going, and it fits because it's kind of like you see two sides of like it's kind of like you're on that fork in the road, and if you go one way or the other, but you can always see the other side of the road. And so I like using the word ghost instead of just saying grief or broken or, or whatnot, because it gives you a different perspective. Like this, it's kind of like she feels dead inside and she's a ghost. So I get that. It fits a little bit better than just saying, oh, she's down in grief or she's just, chosen the bad life because somebody wasn't there. It's like, no, she's actually like dead inside. And that it gives you a little bit more emotional impact for me than just saying, oh, she just, she can't get over the loss. Where now it's like, it's not getting over the loss. It's like she's gone and she doesn't know how to get back, or there's no coming back. So yeah, that was kind of woo. I still need my teddy bear.
I agree with that. Good
I have to watch
observation.
some I Love Lucy. Yeah. Gonna have to watch some I Love Lucy on YouTube tonight.
That'll take away anything scary, except for it's slightly scary itself. I do like though. I hope this exercise then give you at least a bit more of an extreme way to look at your character.
Yeah.
You're frozen, but it's a nice image. There you go.
Okay. It's because my internet is going in and out, in and out.
Yeah.
It's because my internet is going in and out, in and out.
Okay, so Candy, let's hear what you had.
Okay. Okay. Did she open? Okay. And then it's like, this was hell. He'd been living in it from the moment she opened that damn box. She knew he never wanted that box open, and she did it anyway. And they had to live with it for years. Oh, Kermit, I wish to go back to my boring life, back to simply waking up, having a cup of tea on the lanai, and just listening to the birds chirping. Can I do that, Kermit? Can my wish be granted? Kermit glared at him. Who do you think I am? Sheesh. Kermit, Kermit's words surprised them more than they hurt. And Kermit continues, I'm a freaking fish, not the genie from Aladdin. Even if I were a genie, I wouldn't grant your wish. You named me after a freaking frog, for Christ's sakes.
That was good.
Yeah.
I feel like the guy is almost losing his mind because his fish is talking back to him.
I don't know. It was just like I just felt that he was on, it was just completely like on another planet or like in that Twilight Zone where things talk back and you don't expect them to talk back.
Right.
And since he had the pet fish, I had to go with the pet fish. Everybody sees the dog talking back or the cat. You never hear about the fish except for Nemo. But I'm like, just have his fish talk, and then this fish actually talking. He's actually hearing the fish talk. It was like, okay, wasn't expecting that in this. So he's like, now I definitely know I need to go back.
So who is the guy in this story? Is he the person she kills in your story?
No, just someone I just made up right
Oh, okay.
now. He has nothing to do with any of my characters. He just no. I don't. I couldn't think of anything with my characters. You know. So I was like, okay, well, let me just put this person.
Yeah.
I had another character in mind that I was working on, and I was like, well, I'll just throw his attributes in this one, and this guy is boring. He kind of takes after me a little bit, in that his mom even calls him boring, and my mom has called me boring many times, and so like, oh, okay, well, I'll be more exciting. I'll go out and do all this stuff, and then it kind of unleashes hell, and now you want to go back to your boring life, but your fish doesn't want to grant the wish.
Yeah, I like that idea that I feel like every boring person has a Pandora's box, and they just haven't opened it yet.
Yeah, it's just something like everyone wants. Like it kind of takes after me, where everybody thinks I'm this boring person. Yeah, I travel, but I don't really go out night clubbing and all that. So I'm pretty boring. Like, well, if I ever open that box, but I like having that box open. Is the grass greener on the other side? And I'm like, well, he sees it and it's not that, and he wants to go back, but this fish won't grant his wish. And it's just weird that this fish is the one with the power to grant wishes. So, yeah.
I don't know. I was gonna say, I don't know if Nicole would agree with me, but I don't think either of us would call you boring, because we know your imagination from reading your work.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's I took it differently. I wanted to say, this is someone everyone likes, wants you to have this exciting, go night clubbing, go out and do this and do that, go rock climbing, go jump off out of a plane. I'm like, I was in the Air Force, they still couldn't pay me enough to jump out of an airplane. So it's just like, okay, so now you open that door, would you like what that person is, and do you that person? And so I kind of went with that, but I had to keep the fish in there because he was just fun.
Well, and I mean, just like talking about what's boring or not boring, I mean, some people like to go clubbing, but I don't consider myself boring. I never enjoyed going clubbing. Like, I tried it because I said, well, what's fun about this? And I still don't know.
Same.
But it doesn't surprise me that a group of writers don't enjoy going clubbing.
I never liked clubbing. I didn't get it. And then I was always the designated driver because I don't drink.
Yeah, me too.
So.
I mean, I do drink, but
yeah, and then when you have you have that one person throw up in your car and then refuses to get clean. Yeah. Just like, you can call a cab now.
Right. I just always drove because you were the one person you could trust not to drive drunk.
Yep.
Yeah. So I don't know.
We couldn't have cars.
Yeah. I don't know if this exercise was helpful to you. Sorry, I'll say it again. I don't know if this exercise. That echo. I don't know if this exercise was that helpful to you all, but one of the things that I really was pushing with this, obviously, is to ask yourself to inhabit a new perspective for your story. So, like, what happens when you take yourself and, or your character self, and you put them in something that completely wasn't part of the story, and then you turn around and look back at the story and say, oh, how do I understand this differently? And in Nicole's case, it was the ghostly possibility for her character. For Candy, she's working on a new story, which is great. But it's something that, as you're moving into, so module 8, you have 2 assignments, but obviously you should be thinking about this big turn in for module 9, which is, the final draft you're going to turn in for this class of your creative writing, and what surprises are left, what is happening in that story that you haven't unearthed yet, sort of the story. If I always think of it as existing kind of beyond me, and I'm almost accessing it, I'm finding out about the story as I write it too. And so are there any surprises in there? So for Candy, I for some reason I thought you would write about what would happen in this woman's life if she had like canceled basically the hit and decided, because she really liked him, what if she'd run off with him? I kind of thought maybe that was going to be her universe. But if that had happened, and she turned around and instead was in the universe where she had to kill him, how does that change how she looks? How does that change how she looks?
Well, I'm saving that one for the novel.
I couldn't understand you. Say it one more time.
I'm saving that part for the novel.
Oh yeah, of course. Oh yeah, of course. Well, so do you have more questions for me? I think we're going to finish up a little early because it was just the 2 of you, but I really enjoyed it with, I mean, I love everybody, but it's fun to have a small group because I feel like we can talk a little more.
No, oh, I do want to share with you, when you did what did you call it? Where you take words out of a book?
Oh yeah, I did the impromptu writing.
Okay, yeah. I did that with my high school kids. Oh my gosh, they loved it. They requested that we do it every week now.
Oh, that's fantastic. I'll tell Kelly because I got it from Kelly. So Kelly will be so excited.
They were like, so we weren't going to share. And I have some kids in that class who are LD. And I thought, okay, I'm not going to like pressure you to share. And they ended up sharing because they're like, that was so fun, because like one of the words was stealing. And one of the girls was like, yeah, I didn't know what to do with that. So I just threw my character was stealing. And then I had to explain why they were stealing. And then you said duck. And then I'm like, so then I saw this nice juicy duck. And I'm like, oh, wow, you did a lot better than I would have done.
That's fantastic.
And it was so funny because like the kids, I have 11 in this one group. And they all shared. And I was like, wow, I've never had them all like super excited to share. And they were like, can we do this every week? And I was like, sure.
And there's no reason you can't, because the words are different every week, so yeah. Oh, that's so exciting. I love that. Oh, thank you for sharing that with me.
You're welcome.
Cool. Well, so I feel like my work here is done. But I want to wish you both the best of luck on your versions that you're writing for Module 9. I know they're going to be amazing. I'm really excited to read what I have for Module 7. But, good luck with your drafting. The grading, I'm probably not going to, I have company arriving in about an hour and a half. So I'm probably not going to get to it for another day or 2. So sorry about that, because I know, especially when y'all write, I like to grade as quick as I can so you have your feedback. But I'm really excited to read what you wrote. I can't wait to see where it's going to go.
Okay, y'all have a good day.
Thanks, you too. Enjoy Vienna, Candy. I can't find my mouse. There we go.
Bye.
All right, take care, everybody.